You know what the best part about playing games with sequels is? When I'm done, I get to jump to the next one and play them in one big marathon. Take Earthbound, for example. Once I'm done with this game, I can move on to Mother 3 and continue to play it and have fun and enjoy the franchise. But what about games where that's not available like this? Well, that's what we're here to talk about today. The games that I think absolutely deserve sequels. So without further ado, let's go! Before Doom came out last year, there was Bulletstorm. In fact, looking back, it's amazing how many similarities there are actually between the Doom remaster and Bulletstorm. Perhaps that is why they are both so awesome. Bulletstorm was a kind of a parody of shooters of the time and their traditions, while also bringing in an arcade style of gameplay. The slogan "kill with skill" was an important part of everything Bulletstorm was trying to be. It had tight controls, visceral action, amazing landscape, over-the-top characters, and hilarious skill kills that never got old. You always felt compelled to try something new and creative. The only reason this isn't closer to number 1 is that there is actually real hope for Bulletstorm 2 to happen. There's supposed to be a remaster coming out this year, and on top of that, by the looks of it, the studio People Can Fly is back 100%, and even Cliff Bleszinski tweeted that the original devs bought back the IP for Bulletstorm. There's hope, buddy! There's actually hope! BanjoTooie is without a doubt the best 3D platforming collectathon to ever grace us with its presence. Even though its predecessor Banjo-Kazooie is just as loved for paving the way, it's hard to argue that BanjoTooie doesn't do almost everything better. It steps up everything from the original with better levels, crispier visuals, amazing musical pieces, and it's still as funny as the original. So where the heck is the third one? The heck is that? Okay, I know BanjoTooie technically got a sequel, but I think we all know what I mean here. We all want a proper 3D platformer with the bear and bird. This was originally number 2 on this list, but I had to bring it down a bit more only because there is some hope for the future. With games like A Hat in Time, which the demo was awesome by the way, and many of the original Banjo-Kazooie devs making Yooka-Laylee, I figured we are kind of getting a sequel soon. It's just more of a spiritual successor. But hey, Demon's Souls brought us Dark Souls and Bloodborne, so perhaps these new titles can bring us just as much fun as the original Banjo and Kazooie did. So this next one is really close to home. It actually is probably the game that I rented the most back from Blockbuster back in the day. I rented it so many times that my mom ended up just buying it for me because she got so fed up with seeing it again and again and again and wasting her money that way. So she just figured, here. I played it a lot, and I also played it a lot with my cousin, and we played it so much, and yet nobody had ever seemed to hear about it or also had played it like we did. That was until the internet, and I ended up delving there and finding all of these people who also had such a love and care for this game. I know I'm way overhyping it, and that's probably a bad thing, but number 8 is Snowboard Kids 2. In a weird way, I always felt that the Snowboard Kids games were like the Mario Kart of snowboarding games. Yeah, that probably doesn't make any sense at all. Maybe more like the Diddy Kong Racing of snowboarding games, crossed with SSX. Yeah, that makes even less sense. This game had such a fun cast, great customization, outstanding music, and was even made by Atlus. Wait, seriously? Atlus, how in the world do you keep coming up in these older games that I remember loving? How have you managed this? And why have you not made a Snowboard Kids 3? Golden Sun went from being an overlooked launch window release for the Game Boy Advance to being continually renowned as one of the best handheld RPGs out there. Even its sequel was met with a lot of love. However, things seemed to die down with Dark Dawn. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I actually thoroughly enjoyed Dark Dawn a lot. The characters were fun, the summons were always great to see, and I even thought that the story was an overall enjoyable adventure. Yet sadly, it doesn't seem like we will get another Golden Sun game. The last real news we've heard about the franchise was an interview with Nintendo Gamer in 2012, with series producer Hiroyuki Takahashi saying, "Perhaps if there are enough Nintendo users asking for another game in the Golden Sun series, then this will naturally lead to the development of such a game." It's still been almost 5 years since that quote, and there doesn't appear to be anything more on the matter. Whatever happens, at least we have 3 dang fun games to still play, and even both the GBA titles are on the Wii U Virtual Console. So, maybe. Just maybe. I love Conkers Bad Fur Day. I love it so much. Sure, it's a mess at times, and yeah, it's got a lot of flaws, but there is so much fun and passion that just oozes from every bit of this game. It also has some of the best, worst humor I've ever heard. They almost made a full sequel to this game with Conker's Big Reunion, made entirely in Project Spark, but it's since been cancelled. Which is such a shame because it was looking like it could have been a lot of fun. Also about a year ago, another Conker game was cancelled called Conker Gettin' Medieval. It was going to be a multiplayer only game with Greg the Grim Reaper as the main character. This definitely wasn't the Conker game I was looking for, but it still might have been something cool. Yet still, it was no Conkers Bad Fur Day. I enjoy this game so much that I did an entire video dedicated to it discussing the power of parody in video games. You can check it out on my channel and all the other Divine designs I've done so far. Shamelessly plug old content in future video? Check. Next on the list, smell it. What? Dragoon's Dogma Dank Edifice is something of a gem of recent years. It's so much of a gem that I thought it would be funny at 4:30 in the morning to butcher the name of the game in some weird way. It wasn't, it isn't, and it won't be, but you know what? That will never stop me from trying! Oh hey! It's Shaq Fu! Dragon's Dogma nailed so much about action RPGs. There's a ton of loot, customizable party members, the pawn system let you use your friends and strangers' created characters, giant bosses to fight, and so much more. The only real complaint I had was that the world was kinda small. I wish there was more land, more dungeons, more enemies, more bosses, more loot, and more Dragon's Dogma. It even had a boss called the Dragon that required everybody with copies of the game to continually whittle him down more and more until he finally died. Dragon's Dogma and its expansion Dark Arisen are truly phenomenal RPGs that I could absolutely use more of. Diablo 2 is easily my second favorite game, right under Ocarina of Time. When Diablo 3 came out, I was beyond pumped, and honestly, it was alright. Maybe. I mean, the game played well, but it was fine, I guess. There was so much Diablo 3 did wrong, and I wanted to love it so badly. Even after its expansion Reaper of Souls, which did fix a lot of things, it's still kind of okay. I guess. Honestly, Diablo 3 was such a huge letdown for me, but thankfully, there was something that came out a couple months after its initial launch that nailed almost all of my cravings. That game is Torchlight 2. To me, this is the real Diablo 3. If you take away the obvious style differences, Torchlight 2 expands Diablo 2 in almost every single way. The original Torchlight was a fine start, but honestly, it was incredibly short on content. The sequel, though, nailed it. It is absolutely incredible. The controls are perfectly on point, the classes are very different and customizable, and the art is beautiful to look at, and there's even mods for the game to create your own classes. How cool is that? Torchlight 3 better be coming soon, because I'm really starting to get another craving for some good old hack and slash. So, the following game has no hope of ever getting a sequel. The studio was destroyed, the office equipment was auctioned, the creator ripped from every bit of financial standing he absolutely possibly could even have. There's absolutely nothing. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. But wait, is that the tiniest, just small teensy bit of hope? No. No. There's no hope. There is no chance. Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning will never get a sequel. It's such a shame too, because this game was actually really dang good. Some of the side quests weren't the best and the main world was a bit narrow, but everything else was so great that all that other stuff never mattered to me. The game was pretty to look at, the customization with the skills and the fate system is incredibly deep and complex, and the main story was actually pretty dang interesting. The game was released just after Skyrim, which killed it on the spot. What's even worse is that this game was supposed to come out a few months before Skyrim, a time that actually would have been perfect. And honestly, I actually enjoyed it even more than Skyrim.
There, I said it! What are you gonna do about it? Gonna leave a dislike? Maybe leave me a mean comment? How about you smell it? Smell it!
I guess I can mark that off my list now. I could go on and on about this game and how great the dungeons and everything was, but it's not gonna do me any good. The game is great, but we will never get another one after everything that happened to the studio. And that is a true reckoning. The world is changed. You died so young. I feel it in the water. EA, I hope you get diarrhea. I feel it in my loins. Like super bad and super painful. I smell it in my room. Much that was once was is lost, for none of the servers still live to play online. It began with the forging of the great RTS games. 3 were given to Blizzard, immortal, wisest, and crafters of the Warcraft trilogy. 7 to Westwood Studios, great crafters of the Command & Conquer series. And 9 were gifted to Creative Assembly, who above all else desire total war. But they were all deceived, for another company was there, deep in the land of Redwood City, in the forest fires of California. The Dark Lord Electronic Arts published a series in secret. And into these 2 games, EA poured its false hope, its true potential to lure all gamers thinking the series would continue. One Lord of the Rings RTS to rule them all.
And then EA shut down the servers and moved the developers on to make the Medal of Honor reboots and to maintain Battlefield releases so DICE can work on new ones.
How could this happen? The Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 2 was just so good. It's the thing of dreams. It's a game that I sometimes still can't believe it exists because it is just so good. The single player is incredible, with almost perfect pacing, amazing storytelling, beautiful Tolkien-accurate visuals, and gameplay that wasn't even close to being rivaled until Red Alert 3 came out a couple years later. Even the expansion Rise of the Witch King, which I despairingly have to admit I never got to play because EA made so few copies of it, I've heard it's even better than the base game. It's the Frozen Throne or Brood War of this game. All of the factions are so diverse and have some truly unique benefits and weaknesses. Also, having access to heroes and powers makes things even more interesting. It's very clearly inspired by Warcraft 3, and it might actually be even better. Yeah, Warcraft 3, one of my all-time favorite games ever, one of the best RTSs ever made. The Battle for Middle-earth 2 might even be better than that.
If a sequel was announced to this game, I would have it the moment it was announced. But, without further ado, there is still one more game. One more game that I think deserves a sequel more than this. It's not by much, but it is definitely my number 1.
The Legend of Dragoon is my all-time favorite JRPG out there. I like to drop it in my videos occasionally to bring more attention to it, and it's because I genuinely think it is that good. There isn't any really fun, dramatic story about the developer closing down or the game not doing well. It's a game that simply came out, did pretty dang good, and then vanished. Sony is definitely still aware of its existence since it eventually came out on the PS3 store as a PS1 classic, but that's it. The Legend of Dragoon is the culmination of every great aspect of JRPGs before and during its time. It was also a bit ahead of its time, implementing systems that would later be seen in the Final Fantasy series, as well as the Tales games and the Lost Odyssey. The cast of characters is fun and diverse, the combat is truly something incredibly innovative, really stretching the concepts of the Super Mario RPG combat. Items are far more interesting than in most RPGs, abilities and the Dragoon forms add so many layers to the gameplay. And the story. Oh, good lord, the story. Everything is perfect, right down to the really bad PS1 voice acting. There are some incredibly overjoyous moments, some moments where I actually cried the first time I played it, times that really give you a sense of danger or paranoia, and honestly, it's aged pretty dang well. Its only thing is that the graphics look a little rough on today's screens when it does get up-res so much, but it's hardly even that bad.
Now, I am cheating a little bit here because while I would love a sequel to this game, I would love a prequel even more. This game just sets up a history and a mythos that happens before the actual events of this story, and to be able to play through those, to live through those legendary events would be so cool. If you've not played this, this is one of those games that every single JRPG fan needs to play. Absolutely needs to play. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any other games that you think deserve sequels, especially ones that might never, please feel free to leave those in the comments below. I'd love to see. A lot of this stuff, I've learned new games from comments and from people who are telling me, so I'm really down to check them out. Also, if you did like the video, typical yada yada yada, please hit that like button, hit subscribe if you want to see more. There's a bunch of other stuff on the channel. More of these are coming. I mean, some new reviews are coming. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. They're on the side, but you can't see. Keep them secret. Keep them on the down low. If you want to see that, we also have a Let's Play going on right now of Song of the Deep. We're looking like we're almost done, so if you have a recommendation of something you'd like us to play, I'm down to give something a shot and see if it works out. Thank you so much again. You all are awesome. Have a blessed day. Have an awesome day. I will see you next time.